16 WAPT, The One to Watch presents Commitment 2019, the Hinds County Sheriff's Debate. Sheriff Victor Mason.
I tell people when they hurt, I take it personal. And I just need to finish what I started.
And former Police Chief Lee Vance.
I'm a professional law enforcement administrator, and I also have a lot of love for this county.
On the issues that matter most to you.
Welcome to the 2019 Hinds County Sheriff's Debate. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm Megan West, and I'll be moderating the debate tonight. And with me, the two men at the top of what was a crowded field of Democratic candidates for sheriff. Incumbent Sheriff Victor Mason and his challenger, former Jackson Police Chief Lee Vance. On August 27th, voters will choose one of you to advance to the general election in November. So first, thank you both for being here and participating in this debate tonight. I want to get to the rules of this debate. We think they are simple. As the moderator, my decisions are final. Each of you will have 60 seconds to make an opening statement. When we get to the questions, you'll have 1 minute to respond to those questions. Rebuttals are 30 seconds. Those are given at my discretion, and we will rotate who answers each question first. Then at the end of the debate tonight, you'll each have 1 minute for your closing statements. Before we get to those questions, a quick introduction of you both. Victor Mason is the current sheriff of Hinds County and is seeking a second term. He is a graduate of the FBI National Academy and has 37 years of law enforcement experience. Mason has worked with all levels of government, city, county, state, and federal. Lee Vance is the former Jackson Police Chief. He started his career in law enforcement in 1987, worked his way up the ranks from patrol officer to police chief in 2014. And under his tenure, the police department became accredited for the first time in its history. Let's get now to those opening statements. Mr. Vance, you won the coin toss, so you'll speak first.
Well, thank you, Megan. I just want to thank God for allowing us to be here and all the blessings that He's bestowed upon me. And I want to thank WAPT for understanding that how important who the next sheriff will be so that we would be able to have a debate like this. And thirdly, I just want to tell the people of Hinds County, I am applying for the job of sheriff. I have 30 years of law enforcement experience, all with the Jackson Police Department. I have a stake in this community. I was born in inner city Jackson, graduated from Lanier High School and Jackson State University, and obviously worked for the police department for 30 years. So I have a stake in this. And I understand that we need to improve the police product that's coming from the Hinds County Sheriff's Department. We were able to do some things in the Jackson Police Department that people said that we couldn't do. I was chief for 3 years. All 3 years we showed crime reductions. And like you said, we were able to get the police department accredited for the first time in the history of the department. So we come as armed with problem-solving skills, organizational skills, goal-setting skills, which I believe is going to be what it takes to move the Hinds County Sheriff's Department in the right direction.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vance. Sheriff Mason, your opening statement.
Right, thank you. I, too, would like to thank Channel 16 and management and staff for having this debate. I'm running because we started a job we need to finish. As you know, we took over this department when it was in shambles. 3 years later, we're now getting there where we need to be getting there. We're trying to strive to be better. I have a good staff, I have a great staff, and I'm just asking the people to give me a second chance so we can finish what we started.
Okay, thank you, Sheriff Mason. Let's get to the questions now. All right, we're going to start with race relations. The Black community, especially young Black men, feel targeted by law enforcement. In fact, a report this year from The Economist found 63% of Black Americans worry about officers using deadly force on them or on one of their family members. So our first question is, how can community trust be improved between the two? And Sheriff Mason, we'll start with you.
Thank you. Well, the community does trust us. Whenever there were crimes in the city of Jackson, you all noticed that the people that committed those crimes would always turn themselves into us. And they felt that they could trust us. We go through extensive training in race relations and trying to say that all of us are equal. And we're not above anybody else in dehumanizing anybody. So I think that the group that I have, we know right from wrong, we know what we have to do.
Mr. Vance.
It comes through implementing a community-oriented policing strategy. And what that means is that I don't really even like the term the police and the community. I like to show where we are integrated into the community. We have a regular relationship with the community other than enforcement. Enforcement is only about 5% of what a law enforcement agency should be doing. So we started that at the Jackson Police Department, we implemented it, and we believe that we had the best community relations in the history of the police department. And all it comes from is showing the public that they can trust you, that they're going to be fair with you, that a police officer that would potentially or actually get out of line is going to be dealt with by the administration. So those are the type of things that build trust. Only thing, the police and the community are basically looking for the same thing. They want peace in their community. They want somewhere where they can raise their children and they can thrive. So it's easy to do. The only thing you have to do is want to do it from a leadership position.
Okay. Staying with a similar issue, this next question deals with safety, which of course is a top concern for people everywhere, of course people in Hinds County. So what is your plan to address crime? And Mr. Vance, we'll start this one with you.
Well, we use the old CompStat concept as far as tracking crime. And that's the ABCs of it. You look and see how many house burglaries you had in a certain area, for instance, and then you apply resources to attack that problem. When I became police chief, we were averaging probably about 50 house burglaries a week in South Jackson. By the time we left, we were averaging less than 10. So it's about knowing strategies, knowing how to apply resources, and tracking crime until you either move it out or you arrest the individuals that are committing the crimes.
Sheriff Mason.
I can proudly say that when I took over the Sheriff's Department in Hinds County, we had a reduction of 29%. Now, in case you don't know what that means, during my tenure from January 1, of 16 till, let's say, the 13th of this month, we only had one homicide for Hinds County, one homicide. And I owe that to great investigative work. I owe that to communication between the department and the community, because we can't solve crimes without the community.
I'd like to just ask the sheriff, how can you say you got one homicide in Hinds County and Jackson is located in Hinds County? Well,
we're counting the outside of the metro area. Mr. Vance, I think under your tenure, there was an article in the Clarion Ledger that stated that during your tenure, Jackson was rated number 7 in violent crimes. Yeah. Hold on. Yeah. So we didn't have that on our tenure. And my thing was this: we are always held accountable for what we do. Now, I'm not ruling out Hinds County, because we let the police department be accountable for their area. However, we do assist them just like other agencies in other areas.
But as the head law enforcement officer in the entire county of Hinds, it sounds to me like the sheriff is just detached Jackson as far as people getting killed, right? I guess that's not a part of the game plan. We would just let the Jackson Police Department take care of that, even though the sheriff is the highest law enforcement agent in the whole county. Apparently he is not involved in what goes on in the city of Jackson.
Sheriff Mason, I'll let you respond.
Oh, please let me jump back in here.
Yeah.
First of all, when a call is dispatched to a homicide in the city responds. When a call is dispatched to something in the county, we respond. So it's the city's responsibility. Now, if they need our assistance, we are always there.
Okay. Obviously, we could talk much more about this, right, and we'll have several more questions to get to, and as well as your closing statements. Yeah, but we do want to move on to some of the other issues we really want to get to, and this also has to do with keeping the streets of the city and the county safe. When it comes to keeping the streets safe, the director of the Mississippi Bureau of Narcotics, John Dowdy, says we have a gang problem in Mississippi. He says it's in virtually every city of Mississippi. Mm-hmm. So we want to know how you plan to address this. And Sheriff Mason, we'll start with you.
Well, I've had gang training. I've always been involved in gang identification since 1986, since its inception when it first came to Jackson. We had gang classes. We also trained other departments in what to look for. So to try to reduce all the violence that comes with that. So we've worked closely with not only other agencies, but even with the Mississippi Bureau of Narcotics in trying to combat this problem.
I think there has to be a comprehensive understanding of actually what gangs are you talking about. Now, if somebody's wearing the same pair of tennis shoes, some people want to say that they're in a gang. What you have to do is, for me, it's approaching it from 2 or 3 different directions. The federal government has some really strict laws as far as how to enforce actual gang activity. So we've partnered up with them in the past for info about gangs, how to go about reinforcing it, because their statutes are a whole lot better. But the other way you attack it is, if you can't arrest somebody just for being a gang member, you can certainly arrest them for some of the crimes that they commit as gang members. And that's one of the ways that we've approached it.
Okay. The Hinds County Jail. It has been making news for years. You guys both know that. The Department of Justice, in a report, called it a violent, dangerous facility, saying it was so short-staffed, inmates were in charge. They ordered Hinds County to make some physical improvements to the Raymond and downtown Jackson holding facilities to increase staff and training, improve mental health, youth services, increase access to medical care. That's a long list. How do you make that happen? Vance, we'll start with you.
Well, you got a schedule on how you're going to approach things. There is a federal administrator that works along with the local agencies to help meet mandates that are given out by the consent decree. So you have to have a plan on how many of those things and how long it's going to take for you to get it done. Now, I would just say this. If there are some things that are getting in the way of progress, then we as the public need to be made known as to what these things are, right? The public may need to get in and support the sheriff. But if we don't know exactly what's going on because of the lack of information that comes out on a regular basis, then we don't really know how to participate. So I will put in a regular schedule, take those things one by one, and have a beginning date and an ending date for projects related to the consent decree, coming into compliance with it.
Okay. Sheriff Mason.
For the past 3 years, we've been in compliance. We may not have been up to speed, but we've been in compliance. We have a person that has rewritten our policies and procedures. We've had visits, surprise visits, I may say, by the Department of Justice as well as the federal magistrate. It was in shambles when I took over. And the place, let's just put the cards on the table, the place was poorly built, okay? We are short-staffed, and we're trying to strive to make it even better. But it's hard to keep young people when you're not paying them, and that's another thing we can cover later on.
Well, here's the deal. I would not plan, as being sheriff, to make coming in compliance with the consent decree a career. It's a project. There has to be a beginning, and it has to be an ending. If everything is okay down there, the way the sheriff is implying, then why is the federal government still here? Why have they not found that the Hinds County Detention Center is in compliance? We headed back to Washington. We have not seen that. So apparently there must be some issues down there that we are not being made aware of that's keeping us from getting in compliance with the consent decree.
I'd like to jump in on this one. Department of Justice is working with us on this. And one thing they have noticed is that we have been trying to improve on everything. This is a maintenance issue. It all falls on me, and it takes all of us, the county administrator, the board of supervisors, the judges, the Department of Justice, Public Defender's Office, and the DA's office to make this wheel work. It takes time. You cannot straighten out a problem such as that jail in 4 years. You can't do it because you have to have funding, and most of all, you have to have patience and the manpower.
Prisoners have been known to escape the Raymond Detention Center. In March, we covered this. 2 men climbed through a crawl space in part of the jail that was under construction. So we want to know how you would stop those escapes. And Sheriff Mason, we'll start with you.
Well, it goes back to what I just said. The building itself was poorly built. It doesn't have the reinforcement that other jails do have. And what we're trying to do is reinforce it. It was just thrown up overnight, if you will. And when you're short-staffed, which we are, and you have a poor building, they will get out. These were trustees that got out, and they know everything about the place. So we're trying to tighten down on that.
This is one thing that the sheriff and I will agree on. When that facility was built around 1994, it's a faulty facility, right? It's got a lot of, the locks wasn't even working, right? So we'll agree on that. But here's where we disagree. I have never heard the sheriff articulate any type of vision as to where we're going to be with this facility 20 years from now. Do we keep pouring money into a facility that he and I both can agree, and sure most people can, that's a faulty facility? It's like if you buy a used car, how much more money are you going to spend on it before you buy a new car? So in light of that, we need to be able to present to the public some feasible alternatives that they can take into consideration, looking for a permanent solution. So I'm not saying we absolutely need to build one, but we need to put the cards on the table as to what alternatives that we have as far as a permanent solution. And in order to do that, you got to have some vision. Are you going to just keep on patching the place up, or do we come to the public and say these are alternatives to continue, as opposed to continuing to operate in this manner with that jail?
Sheriff Mason.
Let me say this. Since day one, I have asked, day one, for a new jail. And I get the same answer. We don't have the money. So what do you do? All right? So the thing is, you have to work with what you have. I don't control the purse strings. All I can do is present what we have, problems we have. I have to have patience, and I have to work with the board who supplies me the money.
We're going to ask some more questions after we take a quick break. We'll be right back here with Sheriff Victor Mason and Police Chief Lee Vance.